Hello. I was meant to record this before, but here we are. Doesn't matter. Time is an illusion anyway. So what I doing right now is to listen back to the previous episode, because I think that when you ramble on and you talk out loud, you realize a lot of things about yourself. And when you listen back to it after maybe a few weeks, you realize even more things about yourself. And so I want to give some notes on my previous podcast, so basically giving notes to myself, and also adding to the conversation that I started, because it wasn't quite finished and I didn't know how to finish it because I wasn't really all the way through it and I hadn't completely, but now I have. So here we go. Process it. So the first thing I want to address is that I'm Spanish. I was born in Spain, specifically in the south, in Almeria, and then I was raised actually in the Canary Islands, Gran Canaria, and then I moved to Madrid to study, to the capital, and then I moved to London to do my master's, and I stayed there for 4 years. And I studied translation at university, so that's why English is basically my second language, and I think in English most of the time. But right now I don't really talk it out loud that much, so that's why it might sound a bit patchy here and there. And I learned English while watching TV series, and most of them were American, and I follow a lot of American people, and so sometimes I mixed it up. Just know that I'm trying my best. English is not my first language, but I hope you can understand me well enough. Also, this past week I've been talking to some friends that I call my Cuban family, that live in Cuba, and I understand that this statement is a privilege in and on itself, because people in Cuba struggle to just get by, struggle to get food. So for me to having this thinking is already... The second thing I want to address is that when I said, of course, I know that I am privileged and I have a house and I have food and I have all that. What I mean with this is that I sometimes get this guilt. I think it comes from Christianity, but also just the way I was raised. It's just I would be told when I would complain about something when I was a kid that I can't complain because people in Africa are dying and I have everything here. And I'm like, yes, but this is not what I'm really grateful for all that. I'm really grateful for being able to pay my bills, to have a job, to have a house. I'm really grateful for that. That's not the problem. The problem here is that when I was in the mindset, this dark place where I was I don't know what life means anymore, I was in the mindset of, I'm doing good things for people. I'm trying to become a better person, yet I feel stuck in life. And once you get, I know as such, that statement as such is a privilege. For me to be able to think about this tells you a lot about where I'm coming from, which is Europe, which is Spain, which is family that is relatively wealthy. So I understand that. I get that. But at the same time, while having all these things, So understanding this privilege and this knowing where I'm coming from, I was also told that you should just be thankful for it. But like once you have all these things, like once you have your right to live, your right to pay for your apartment because you are working, your right for pay for your food because you are working. And I'm not saying just like go off the grid and just go live in a forest and don't work. Working gives value to society and to people, and so it's important. But I think that sometimes in Europe or in this Western society, we are told that having fun is the first thing that you can and should not have if you are in a hospital or if there's a pandemic. If it's not productive, you shouldn't do it. I'm not talking about music or art or theater. I'm talking about just not doing anything. Just having fun for the sake of having fun. We are taught to do that when we were children, and then after that, we're just like, not anymore. And so, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so I'm working and I'm paying my bills and I have money and I have food, but is that it? Is that the meaning of life? Like, is that what I'm alive for? And I think I realized that it's a bit of both. Like, you need both the negative and the positive. It's important to have fun, but it's also important to go through the bad stuff so that you know what a good thing is when you see it. If you had all the things that you wanted, you might think that you don't want them, but then when you get something that you don't want, you know what I mean? Like, if you have everything that's positive and nothing negative, how can you learn to appreciate the positive when they come? If everything is neutral, then there's nothing worth experiencing because you wouldn't be learning. At the end of the day, we are an infinite being living an experience here on this matrix, and it's infinite because you are infinite and we are part of the same thing. At least that's what I believe in. And so it's important also, I think, to have some cheat codes for this simulation, because otherwise it gets boring and hard and just not very fun to play. And I've been learning about these cheat codes, if you will, with actually Amber Khan from At the Quietest Revolution and the Rep Fam. She's been doing these daily walks where we jump to different dimensions and we also talk while we walk. They have helped a lot, and I learned three main points that I'm applying to my life, so I would like to share with you. So the first one is that you need to be your rich, indulgent parent. So someone who is like, you have to treat your inner child with care and the way you wish you were treated as a child. But basically is to listen to ourselves with more kindness. And like, if you don't feel like going, I don't know, out to get some groceries, you're like, okay, it's okay, we can do whatever you want. What about we order some takeout? That's fine. You still gotta eat. You know that if you're not hungry, it's okay. You can just leave it for tomorrow. You know, like stuff like that. It's kind of like that vibe. The second thing is to be the main character in your own movie. So the way Amber, how do I say, I love her without being a fangirl. She's just giving me a lot of strength, and the way she talks and the way she communicates is very confident, and she's inspired me to become the main character in my own movie. So, and basically that's that. Like, what happens to the main character? All the good things happen to the main character because that's the main character. You're following their story. It's also a bit of this metaphor about you being in the passenger seat rather than in the driver's seat. So once you're in the driver's seat, then you decide. Basically, you follow your own path. And the third thing is to prioritize myself, not only my health, so my skin, my eating, the walking thing is helping me to be more consistent with my self-care, but also with being more secretive and more protective of my space and my energy, and prioritize myself in everything, in every decision. I'm like, what do I want to do? And follow through with it, and having the confidence of the main character and the backup of the indulgent, wealthy parent. So just like go follow her. She's amazing. Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. And why I'm sharing it is because it helped me to hear from people that are on the same path as me, like on a path of self-discovery and becoming a better person, doing meditation, trying to prioritize themselves. So the Red Fam is a really good community if you want to do that. So yeah, it just helped me a lot, and I wanted to share it with you in case you want to get on it, or even if you just learn the 3 things that I learned or that I am applying. I learn a lot every day that I listen to this woman, but these are the 3 main things that I'm applying constantly. So yeah, I hope it helps, and I'll talk to you soon.